All right, looks like we are now live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. It has sadly been a while since we've been live on this channel. We are also live over on Twitch, of course. But things have been kind of weird lately, and I've been having PC issues. My computer has been crashing a whole bunch, and we've been doing some streams that just didn't involve as much reading over the past week, so I'm so sorry that it has been a little while, like maybe like a week or something since we've been live on this YouTube channel, so my apologies about that. But hello, it's very good to see you. If you are someone that is watching on this channel and you want to make sure not to miss any content, make sure to be following my Twitch channel. That's kind of where it all goes down. And then I've got this YouTube channel for reading content and the other YouTube channel for ASMR specific triggers. But yeah. Just as an FYI, I have been keeping up with my streaming schedule on Twitch, but yeah. Hi, Liu. Thank you. Wow, the 190 stream streak. Liu. That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so we are diving into a new book tonight, though. Sean, thank you for putting that comment. Let me pin that over on YouTube, and it's already pinned on Twitch, so wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, you should see a pinned comment, or if you're watching the VOD later, it should be down in the description box, for where you can upload this this book from Project Gutenberg. It is in the public domain. We are going to be starting The Secret of the Hidden Staircase, which is a Nancy Drew mystery. A few months ago, or a couple months, some weeks ago, we read Nancy Drew and the Secret of the Hidden Clock, and it was delightful. 3 Nancy Drew books come into the public domain this year, 2026, so yeah, I'm excited to read the next one. It was so good and so enjoyable. It's from the 30s, and it just really, I mean, I read them as a kid, but just revisiting them, like they're really old-fashioned, you know, just like a lot of the language and the kind of the social norms that are described. I mean, that happens a lot in the books we read, since we read older books from the public domain, but I guess because I had read them as a kid, I didn't remember them being so like distinctly of an era, but they really are. You read a few Nancy Drew books in elementary school for book reports, and you love them. Yeah, they are pretty delightful. Something we did notice, however, was also just that Nancy is freaking perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's perfect. And I feel like that is really another thing that makes it of an age, because that used to be a lot more common for a protagonist, but I feel like for a while now, in terms of popular media, whether that's film and television or fiction, that people are craving like the flawed protagonists, or the anti-heroes, or even straight up like the villain's tale, right? So having this character that, like, I mean, even if you're trying to write like a straight up hero character, contemporary writing advice would be like, what are their flaws? What are the things that they struggle with? And Nancy just doesn't really seem to struggle with the thing like flaws. Not even in her life, like, let alone her personality. She is rich. She's independent as a 16-year-old. Her dad's just like, yeah, go off and solve this mystery and get into high-speed chases with guns, and the police are there, and like, he's just like, I'm proud of you, Nancy. Like, everything in her life is so perfect. But she's still likable because she's not snotty about it. Because again, she's perfect. She wouldn't be snotty. It's crazy. It's really interesting to read. She is actually likable though. That's the thing. Unlike friggin' Dorothy Gale, who I think is supposed to be very likable, but is just awful. Mysterious Value Woman, hi. You're new here. Welcome in. Welcome. We read books here. I hope that you enjoy it. I'm just bringing up the chats on my OBS so that I've got all the chats in front of me and I don't have to be looking over to the side to see YouTube chat. Unfortunately for YouTube, you have to input the URL every single time. So you have to pop out the chat, copy the URL. Yeah, it's a whole process. Okay. All right, there we go. Excellent. All right. And I am going to... You'll never forgive Dorothy for dead naming her hero. Yeah. It's not even dead naming. No, she's forcing a name change. It's like the opposite of dead naming. Bill was like, I like my original name. And she's like, no, that's not a girl's name. You don't get to have that name. Sean Fidge Banana, thank you for watching over, and Artax, thank you for watching over on YouTube. Yes, let me do my tiny little spiel for the Twitch viewers. If any of you are able to open up the YouTube stream, even if you're watching on Twitch, chatting on Twitch, if you open up the YouTube window, obviously this is for desktop viewers. It really helps with the watch hours. One of my hopes and goals for this year is to unlock the YouTube Partner Program, hopefully on both channels. And the two things I need are subs and watch hours. So that is a really easy way to, yeah, I agree. See, Cloud agrees too. It's a really easy way to help work towards those goals is by watching the live stream on YouTube, even if it's just open as like a lurk. Okay, that's my spiel done. The other thing is that I am going to turn off this the PC Fund overlay because we don't need this in the whole VOD, you know. Come on. But we will still continue adding any donos or bits onto that, and mods, if you need to like see what number we're at so you know what to, just ask me. I can toggle it on quickly. I just don't want it on for like the whole VOD, you know. The chocolate, it is not a chocolate fund overlay, oh my god. Alright, okay, alright. So, hi Cat. Also deep fried, thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys, thank you. Okay, I'm excited to dive into a Nancy Drew mystery story, The Hidden Stair. I thought it was The Secret of the Hidden Staircase. Apparently it's just The Hidden Staircase. Okay. I guess I might need to like change that title. Is it not? I guess it was The Secret of the Old Clock. So I just thought they were all like the secret of something. Okay, well. The Hidden Staircase. You got the count in your... Sean, you're just the goat. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Kat, you are sinful. Okay, I thought you were saying hi to sinful, and I was like, I don't see sinful in chat, but... The Hidden Staircase was the first one you read. I don't remember which was the first one I read, but I'm pretty sure that I owned this one in, like, you know, the cloth bound yellow ones. Hi, Winter Wind. Hello. Okay. That was your goat noise. That was perfect. Wait, why are we pinning Hi, Winter Wind? You're listening on Twitch. You open YouTube on your old phone? Sinful. Thank you. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you. I'm doing okay. Winterwind. I'm excited to jump into a new book. All right. Huzzah. Let's do it. All right. The Hidden Staircase. A Nancy Drew mystery story by Caroline Keene. Enunciate the L in the title. There is no L in the title. The Hidden Staircase. What? What are you saying? What? What do you mean? Hold on. Let me close my window. Thank you, Research Monkey. Christ. Okay. All right. Yes. You were saying that before, and I'd forgotten about that. But okay. Yes. You're gonna get ready for actual sleep. Sounds good, then. All right. Huzzah. Chapter 1. A Rude Visitor. I declare, I don't know what makes me so nervous this afternoon. I have the strangest feeling, just as though something were about to happen. As Nancy Drew expressed the thought aloud, she tossed aside a book she had been trying to read and restlessly crossed the living room to glance out of the window. She was alone in the big house, for her father, Carson Drew, had been called out of the city on an important law case, and Hannah Gruen, the housekeeper, had taken her day off. Usually, Nancy enjoyed a book, but on this particular afternoon she had been unable to interest herself in anything. For no apparent reason, she felt nervous and uneasy. As she stood at the window, her eyes rested for a moment upon an old-fashioned mantel clock above the fireplace. The timepiece aroused pleasant memories, for it had been given to her as a reward for her service in solving a baffling mystery. Nancy smiled. I know what's the matter with me, she told herself. I'm aching for another adventure. Well, that's all the good it will do me, too. With a sigh of resignation, she again settled herself in a comfortable chair and took up her book. She had read scarcely a page when her attention was attracted by the sound of a heavy step on the front veranda. The doorbell rang sharply. There was an electric something about the ring which was arresting, startling. Before Nancy could get up from the chair, the bell rang a second time. Sorry, don't doorbells sound the same, like, no matter how you ring it? Were doorbells in 1930, like, could you make them sound different? Genuine question. Or is she just projecting her own feelings onto the sound of the doorbell? She dropped her book and hurried to the door. Opening it, she stood face to face with a man she had never seen before. He was unusually tall and thin, with spindling legs which gave him the appearance of a towering scarecrow. The illusion was heightened by his clothing, which was ill-fitting and several seasons out of style. Nancy could not help but notice several grease spots on his coat. However, it was not the man's clothing or miserly appearance which repulsed her, but rather his unpleasant face. He had sharp, piercing eyes which seemed to bore into her. Nancy was permitted but an instant to appraise her visitor, for as she opened the door, he stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Is it ugly? Oh, Christ. Sorry. That's a throwback to TikTok of Oz, which is the last book that we read, where the Shaggy Man is reunited with his brother and they just call him Ugly, like, as his name. Shaggy and Ugly. Oh my god. Okay. Poor Ugly. Hold on. I did not finish pouring my drink. And I need to take a little sip. I know. I'm only like 2 paragraphs deep. Ardice, thank you for the 100 biddies. Okay. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. This rude action somewhat nonplussed her, but she was too polite to show her displeasure. "I am Nathan Gambit of Cliffwood," the man told her bluntly. "I want to see Carson Drew." "My father isn't here now," Nancy explained quietly. "Where is he?" Nancy did not like the brusque way Nathan Gambit had of asking questions. Okay, real question here. This is spelled Gombet, which looks like it's probably like French or was French, which would be Gambet. But I'm guessing since this is set in America, would that have become Gambit? Is anyone familiar with that last name? Would that be Gambit or Gambet? Do you think it would be pronounced Gambet? You think it'd be Gombet? Gombet? Probably bet? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But that's not out of, like, I know in French it would be bay on the end, but gom like bomb. Gambet. Or Gambit. I don't know, I've never seen this surname before. Okay. Hey, Liminal. Okay. Ilfrink Gom. What time era? 1930. You think it would be Gambay? Should we go Gambay? Look, let's just make an executive decision together. Whatever we choose, there's a chance that we're wrong. So, what do we think? Gambit? John Wick? Well, no, okay. Ahmed, we can't just give him a whole new name. We're Baba Yaga. No. Ahmed, I like the enthusiasm and also the choices you've made, but we can't just give him a whole new name, Ahmed. We need to choose just a pronunciation. I'm not gonna call him, no. Okay, One's in chat if you like gambit, and two's in chat if you like gambé. What do you think? What, Banana, you put 12. That's a 1 and a 2. 1, 1, 12, 2, 2. Okay, so we're tied. 3, Fidge, that's not an option. 2. The the origin of gumbo? I don't think it is the origin of gumbo. Origin, French, meaning derived from a diminutive of the Germanic personal name gumbo. What? From the Old French word gombo, meaning club or cudgel. Gumby? No, we're not going to call him Gumby. Nathan Gumby? Hi, Red Sea, it's so good to see you. Pablo Escobar? No, Ahmed. I like the enthusiasm. But that's not quite the game we're playing. You vote for Gumby? No, that's not one of the options. Gumbon't? That's also not one of the options. I've given you 2 very clear options. I think let's call the character Ahmed. This is not, you guys. Gumboat. Okay. I see this. Okay, this guy is this. Look, I say this as a 1930s upper town, upper class person viewing this man who's all spindly and in greasy, ragged clothes. I think Gambit would be right. Nathan Gambit. Be like, he's French. He's French, it's Gambit. Or Gambé, but kind of making it sound more like Gumby. Nathan Gambé. Gambé. Nathan Gambé. Yeah, let's do Gambé, but put the stress on the first syllable, so instead of Gambé, it's Gambé. That makes it feel more American, you know? I'm saying this as not an American. Nathan Gambé. Let's do that. Okay, this is the executive decision we're making. It's probably incorrect. That's okay. That's alright. Call the character Fidgety Fools Around. Hi, Dweeb. Making my case better for the X-Men. Okay, we're going with Gambé. Okay? Trying to be French, but just changing it a bit. Does he have a horse named Poke? I hope so. Je ne parle pas Gambé. Okay, let's get back into it. Let's be serious. Alright. Okay. I'm Nathan Gambé of Cliffwood, the man told her bluntly. I want to see Carson Drew. My father isn't here now, Nancy explained quietly. Where is he? Nancy did not like the brusque way Nathan Gambé had of asking questions, but she answered him politely. Out of town on business? But I must see him. I'm very sorry, Nancy returned patiently, but it is impossible. He won't be back until late this evening. If you will come back tomorrow won't do. I want to see him now, he demanded. Can't you understand that my father is out of town? Nancy asked, a trifle tartly, for she was beginning to be irritated. If you want to leave a message, I'll give it to him as soon as he comes in. I don't want to leave a message. I came after those papers. Did your father leave them for me? I don't know what papers you mean. Well, you don't, eh? Well, your father knows all right. Just ask him about Nathan Gambé's property rights on the river, and he'll tell you all about the nasty deal he and his friends tried to slip over on me. What are you talking about? Nancy demanded sharply. Have you lost your senses? Well, I've just come to him. That's what I've done. Well, maybe you don't know about it, but I own some property down along the river. Your father induced me to sell a piece of it at a ridiculously low figure. The land is worth several times what he paid me for it. I'm not going to let anyone put over a raw deal like that. I want the deed back, or my price, and Carson Drew is going to give it to me, too. You don't know what you're saying, Nancy said icily. My father wouldn't cheat anyone out of a cent. Girl, he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Oh, no? Nathan exclaimed sarcastically. I suppose he's in business for his health. He's not in the business of taking what doesn't belong to him. That's certain, Nancy retorted hotly. If you have anything coming to you, I'm sure it will be turned over to you just as soon as my father returns. Just as soon as he returns. That's good, Nathan sneered. Like as not, he's hiding somewhere in the house this very minute. How dare you insinuate such a thing? Nancy cried angrily. I'm alone in the house. Girl, you need to have a little more safety. If a strange man comes to your door, pushes his way in without waiting to be, welcomed in, you don't tell him, I'm all alone. My father won't be back until tonight. Like, you approached me for a humble tier 3 with a request? Yeah, sure. We're not doing triggers until after we're done reading, though. But what's up? Hydrate and take care of yourself. You're going to sleep. I hope your pasta was everything you wanted. And I hope you sleep well and that whatever's going on in the morning goes well. Everyone say goodnight to Toasty. Good night, Toasty. Nancy, look, she is smart, but she's honestly, I think she's just so privileged that it doesn't occur to her that, like, bad things could happen, you know? Like, she's naive. She's smart but naive. Oh my god, reading Rainbow. Hi, Down Dan. Hi. Yeah, she's sheltered from consequences, yeah. Times were different back then. Sure, but, like, not different in, like, men would never attack girls when they were alone. Like, that's been true of all human history. Like, high intelligent, low wisdom. Yeah. Okay. I'm alone in the house. Oh, I need to just, like, keep reading instead of inserting myself. The instant she had divulged the information, she could have bitten her tongue. Alone, eh? Well, maybe I was mistaken about your father being here, but it's the truth I've been telling you about those papers. He cheated me out of a pile of money. It isn't the truth, and you know it. I've listened to you just as long as I intend to. You ought to be ashamed to come here and say such insulting things about my father. Now, I wish you'd go. I'll not stir until I get my papers. I've told you, I don't know a thing about your old papers. They're here someplace. I know they're in the house. Will you kindly leave? Just try to put me out if you think you can, Nathan Gombe said, with an unpleasant leer. You know more about those papers than you let on. You're crazy, Nancy snapped. She was so exasperated that she could not keep her temper in check. Nathan Gombe's eyes narrowed to mere slits, and a cruel look came over his face. Get those papers for me, he commanded harshly. Nancy was aware that her father sometimes kept valuable papers in his desk, but she had no intention of handing over any of them to this man. And she had never heard her father mention the documents in question, but she had no doubt that Gombe was trying to get something which did not belong to him. Although frightened at the man's strange conduct, she faced him boldly. "I'll not give you anything. Now get out of here." "All right. If you'll not hand over the papers, I'll just have a look around for myself." A crafty look had come into the man's eyes. As he spoke, he moved toward the study which adjoined the living room. From where he had been standing, Carson Drew's desk was in plain sight. "Don't you dare go in there!" Nancy cried indignantly. "Oh, so that's where the papers are. I thought as much." A half-dozen long strides took Nathan Gombe into the room and into the study. Reaching the desk, he jerked open a drawer and began pawing through it. "Stop that!" Angrily, Nancy grasped the man by his coat and pulled him away from the desk. "You get out of here, or I'll call the police." With one vicious jerk, Nathan Gombe freed himself and wheeled upon her. His face was convulsed with rage, and Nancy saw that he was desperate. Instinctively, she threw up her hands to ward off a blow. Girl. You're not drunk this time, damn Dan? That's awesome. Well, welcome in. All right, okay. And Nancy should get a gun. She would have the key, she would own one of those adorable little ones that fit in your purse. And it would be powder blue to match her roadster. Chapter 2. A Warning of Trouble. Nathan Gombe did not strike Nancy Drew, although for an instant it appeared that he intended to do so. He remained motionless, regarding her with a hatred he made no effort to conceal. His face was distorted, and he stood in a half-crouched position, like an animal about to pounce upon its prey. Nancy knew that she must act quickly, for she saw the man was beside himself with rage. Unless she handed over the papers he demanded, she did not doubt but that he would attempt to do her bodily injury. She must depend upon her own wits to save her, for there was no one within calling distance. If only she could reach the telephone. As the thought came to her, her eyes rested for a moment on the instrument. Nathan Gombe saw the look and understood that she intended to carry out her threat to telephone the authorities. His lips parted in an ugly snarl. "Call the police, will you? Oh no, my little lady, you won't do that." He made a vicious lunge for her, but she was too quick for him. As he reached out to grab her, she stepped to one side and, neatly eluding his claw-like hands, placed the table between them. She caught up the telephone receiver. Gombe saw that Nancy Drew was not to be bluffed, and instantly a change came over him. The look of anger on his face changed to one of genuine fear. Don't telephone," he begged almost childishly. "I'll go." Nancy hesitated, undecided in her course. She had no wish to start a scandal in River Heights by calling the attention of the police to the threats the man had made, for she realized that the resulting publicity might not do her father any good. Yet she wondered if she could trust the man to keep his word. "All right then, go," she said curtly, without relinquishing her hold on the telephone. "I'll give you 20 seconds to get out of here. If I see you hanging around the house, I'll call the police." Hastily, Nathan Gombe picked up his hat, and with a last glance toward Carson Drew's desk, turned to leave. Nancy followed him from the study, watching him closely, lest he try to work a trick upon her. In the doorway, the man paused and looked back. "I'll have my rights before I get through," he muttered. "Your father ain't seen the last of this, not by a jugful." Slamming the door behind him, he tramped across the porch and was gone. From the living room window, Nancy watched him until he disappeared beyond the corner. I almost wish I'd called the police, she thought. The idea of saying the things he did about Dad. He thought he could scare me into giving him those papers. Like, girl, you could still call the police at this point. You still could. If you're so sure that your dad is in the right on this case, then why would it be bad publicity? You know? It would only be bad publicity if something came out that Carson Drew did not give that man a fair deal. No, not Bombay. Damn it, Nathan, you're causing so many problems. Enchantix, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Welcome in. Okay. The encounter had disturbed her considerably, for she realized that in Nathan Gombe, her father could have a troublesome enemy. She was convinced that the man was without scruples. Unquestionably, his accusations were entirely false, but if he spread his story about River Heights, undiscerning persons might accept it as fact. I'm just bringing this here to rest my elbow on. Okay. As a former district attorney at River Heights, a city in the Middle West. So this is how old they don't call it the Midwest yet. It's the Middle West. A city in the Middle West, Carson Drew had built up an enviable reputation for himself. But the character of his work was such that he had made enemies, as well as staunch friends. Those whom he had antagonized were ever on the lookout for an opportunity to undermine the reputation he had made for himself. So far, Carson Drew had more than held his own against unscrupulous persons, for he was known as a fighter. Nancy was Carson Drew's only child, but though she had been indulged, she had never been spoiled. Up for debate, okay. She was an unusually pretty girl, fair of skin with friendly blue eyes and golden curly hair. Her friends declared that she was as clever as she was attractive. Since the death of her mother a number of years before, Nancy had found it necessary to be resourceful and efficient. Not only had she assumed the management of the Drew household, but she took a keen interest in her father's law cases, especially those which smacked of mystery. She had been present at a number of interviews with noted detectives, and her father declared she had a natural talent for digging into interesting cases. Sheltered does not equal spoiled. It's not that she's sheltered, she's given a lot of freedom. She's sheltered from consequences, but she's not sheltered from the world. Like, she has a lot of freedom. Only the summer before, she had taken it upon her own slender shoulders to solve a mystery which had baffled capable lawyers. When no one could locate Josiah Crowley's missing will, Nancy, in an effort to aid Abigail Rowan and Allie and Grace Horner, had taken over the task herself. Her thrilling adventures, which included an encounter with robbers, are told in that first volume of this series, entitled The Secret of the Old Clock. Oh, terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, that, I hate that. I hate that. Oh well. Of late, Nancy Drew had longed for another exciting experience, which would give her an opportunity to use her wits, little dreaming of what was in store for her. Yet, as she turned slowly away from the window, After watching Nathan Gombe vanish down the street, she had a certain premonition of trouble ahead. If I hadn't threatened to call the police, that man would have injured me, she thought. I do wish Father were here. I want to tell him about Nathan Gombe and the threat he made. It wouldn't surprise me if he should try to make trouble. Nancy was, indeed, disturbed. Never for an instant did she credit any of the statements the man had made, but from his appearance and actions, she was inclined to believe that he would stoop to anything in order to gain his end. He has some dishonest scheme up his sleeve, she assured herself. Dad will explain everything when he comes home. Try as she would, she could not forget the unpleasant interview. Her afternoon was completely ruined. Girl, you were just complaining about being bored before this, and then you get what you want, which is excitement. Anyway. Oh, she's definitely a Mary Sue, yeah. In vain she tried to read. After a time she busied herself with some sewing, but she had to rip nearly everything out. It's no use, she sighed. I can't keep my mind on what I'm doing. I wish someone would come home. This house is getting on my nerves. Glancing at the clock, Nancy saw that it was only 4 o'clock. Hannah would not return for at least an hour, and she could not expect her father until late that evening. Folding up her sewing, she arose and crossed over to the desk. She regarded it speculatively. Gombe said it was a deed he wanted, she told herself. If it's actually here, I think I'd better find it and put it in the safe. She seated herself before the desk and, opening a drawer, began to go over the papers carefully. Is this the start of her, learning to justify just going through her father's private paperwork? As she examined the first document she picked up, there came a sharp ring of the doorbell. No, I don't think by saying tried to read, I don't think it means she's illiterate. It's probably, wait, it doesn't even say that. Wait, what? Grant, thank you for the lurk. Thank you for the lurk. Okay. So unexpected was the noise that Nancy started. What could it mean? Had Nathan Gombe returned to make more trouble? Quickly, thrusting the papers back into the desk, she closed down the top and locked it. Then she made her way resolutely to the front door. Girl, don't open the door again if you think it might be this dude. Chapter 3. Interesting information. They had Ring doorbells back then? Not the kind with cameras. Just doorbells. Nancy Drew swung open the heavy oak door, fully expecting to see Nathan Gombe on the veranda. So why would you open it? This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, the low wisdom, right? Don't open it then. Hi, Powder. She had braced herself for another unpleasant ordeal, but when she saw that her fears were groundless, her face relaxed into a pleased smile. Allie Horner, she exclaimed enthusiastically. What a scare you gave me. Meaning that I look a fright? Allie bantered. Mercy, no. I can't remember that I ever saw you looking better in your life. The compliment was a sincere one. In the last few months, plenty of good food and freedom from worry had done wonders for Allie. She'd grown becomingly plump, and there were roses in her cheeks. Her eyes were bright, and she seemed to have an overabundance of vitality. Nancy could remember the days when she first met Allie Horner and her sister, Grace. They lived on a farm along the river road, and at times were undernourished and beset with financial worries. Through Nancy's efforts, the girls had come into an inheritance, and their troubles had vanished. They still resided on the river road, but they had used a portion of their income to modernize the place, with the result that it was considered a model farm. "Oh, do come into the living room, Allie," Nancy urged cordially. "It's been months since I saw you last." "Grace and I don't get to town very often." "Too busy, I suppose. But I'm so glad you came today. I've been lonesome for someone to talk with." "Why, I can't stay very long, Nancy. I dropped in to give you a little present." "A present?" "Yes. Well, it's not much of a gift, I'm afraid." Nancy smiled apologetically as she thrust 2 packages into Nancy's hands. "Just a chicken for your Sunday dinner and 2 dozen eggs." "Why, that's a fine gift, Allie." "You're never sure of getting fresh eggs when you buy them at the grocery store. You have to take the fresh part on trust, and sometimes your trust is betrayed." "I think you'll find these eggs fresh. I gathered them this morning." After thanking Allie for the gift, Nancy carried the chicken and the eggs to the kitchen and placed them in the electrical refrigerator. So quaint. The electrical refrigerator. Returning to the living room, she pulled her chair up close to Allie's, and the 2 girls settled themselves for a chat. "Tell me about everything," Nancy commanded. "How's your sister?" "Oh, Grace is fine and fairly rolling in wealth," Allie declared proudly. "She wanted to come with me this afternoon, but she couldn't take the time from her work. Dressmaking has picked up tremendously, and she has more orders than she can fill. You should see her new electric sewing machine." Oh, she was not even using an electric sewing machine before that, of course. Oh my god. Old school sewing machines are just, incredible machines, but also, holy moly, am I glad that they made them electric. "I suppose you've made a great many changes since I last visited your place." "Oh, yes. We get a big kick out of landscaping everything. We've even gone in for grand names. We call our place the Chicken Ranch now. I've had wonderful luck with my leghorns, and I intend to double my flock next year." As Allie spoke, her eyes came to rest upon the old-fashioned mantel clock. "Every time I see that old clock, I think of how much you did for us all." "You did for all of us," she said quietly to Nancy. "I wish you would permit Grace and me to give you a more suitable reward." "The clock is all I want." "Really it is," Nancy protested. "You're the strangest girl I ever knew," Allie sighed. "Oh, well, I know it won't do any good to urge you, so I'll drop the matter. Tell me about yourself." Treadle sewing machines had to be exhausting. Yeah, you have a 100-year-old sewing machine? Sinful. Is it a treadle one? Yeah. Well, and there's also a kind that's like a hand crank, so you'd be like turning a wheel with one hand and guiding the fabric with the other. Yeah. Electric ones do have a foot pedal, but it's more like a gas pedal, and then it's like you press it to make it go, and the harder you press, the faster the machine goes. Your mom had a foot pedal Singer. Honestly, they're beautiful. A lot of those old machines are so like ornate and gorgeous, but it's not too bad. It's an old Singer foot pump one. Do you use it? Oh man. Enameled iron. Yeah, they're gorgeous. Gorgeous. And like built to last, for sure. And there's the ones that come in like built into a cabinet. Those are so cute, where you like lift the top up and the machine like rises up, and then it can sink back down. Like, they're really cool old sewing machines. The leather cord broke, so you have to replace it. Like, just replace the leather cord. Yeah, I'm sure that's able to be done. There are probably people that specialize in that. You'd flip the top and the machine was under it. That's so cool. I love it. Just the leather cord. Oh, okay, right on. That's awesome. Okay. Tell me about yourself. There's nothing to tell. Then you're not involved in any more mysteries? Not so far as I know, Nancy laughed. Then the smile faded from her face, and she regarded Allie seriously. Still, an odd thing did happen this afternoon, just a few minutes before you arrived. Tell me about it. Well, a strange man came to the door and asked to see my father. When I told him Dad was out of town on important business, he didn't believe me. He ranted a lot about his property rights on the river, whatever that may mean. He claimed that he had been cheated out of some money. If I hadn't threatened to call the police, he would have gone through everything in Dad's desk. You have no idea who the man was? I never saw him before. But he gave his name as Nathan Gombe. Nathan Gombe? Yes. Do you know him? Well, rather. He used to buy eggs and chickens from me until I told him not to come back anymore. He's a regular miser if there ever was one. He has a home over in Cliffwood. Well, I suspected he was a miser from his appearance. You can't trust him out of your sight. One day, after I'd sold him 5 dozen eggs, I turned my back for a minute, and he tried to slip an extra dozen into the crate. He claims my father cheated him out of his property rights. Allie laughed shortly. Knowing Nathan as I do, I'd be quicker to think he was trying to cheat your father. What property does he mean? I don't know anything about it except that it's along the river. It must be the property that was condemned for the railroad bridge, Allie suggested. Did the bridge go up on Gombe's land? As I recall it, he sold a strip of land on either side of the river. Then, after the bridge went up, he claimed the railroad had built over its boundary line. Why didn't he find that out before the bridge was finished? Oh, no one believes his claim, Nancy. The land was carefully surveyed, you know. It's my personal opinion, Nathan Gombe isn't perfectly right in the mind. You mean he's... Oh, I wouldn't go so far as to say he's crazy, Nancy. But he's money mad. It's an obsession with him that someone is trying to cheat him out of something. He went nearly daffy when the bridge went up. He even threatened he'd blow it up if they didn't pay him his price. He ought to be arrested. It's dangerous to have him at large. Yes, I think so myself. Of course, it's only a rumor about his threat to blow up the bridge, but I believe he said it all right. So do I, after the way he acted this afternoon. He'll bear watching. Allie nodded soberly. You're going to tell your father, aren't you? Allie queried. Oh, yes, just as soon as he gets home. The girls talked for some time, and then Allie Horner announced that she must leave. I have a notion to ride out into the country with you and hike back, Nancy told her. Father won't be back for several hours yet, and I'm tired of sitting here in the house with nothing to do. Oh, I wish you would come with me, Allie urged. All right, wait till I get my hiking boots and I'll do it. Nancy left the room and soon returned, dressed for hiking. After locking the doors and windows, she left the house with Allie. Hi, Sandry. Hello, hello. Oh, yes, please do take pictures. Simple. How do you like our new automobile? Allie demanded as she paused in front of a roadster, which was parked at the curbing. Grace and I bought it last week. Oh, it's a beauty, Nancy replied. You didn't tell me about that. I intended to, but we got to talking about Nathan Gombe and I forgot. The two girls sprang into the roadster, and Allie took the wheel. Roadsters for everybody. All the cool girls get roadsters. She drove rather slowly, for as yet she was not perfectly familiar with the various controls. When they came to the Muskoka River, Nancy thanked Allie for the ride and expressed the intention of hiking back. If I walk right along, I'll get home before dark, she assured Allie as she stepped from the roadster. Nancy Drew watched Allie out of sight and then struck off at a brisk pace along the river. A walk will do me good, she told herself. It may help me get rid of my nervousness. Although the day was warm, There was a cool breeze blowing along the river, and Nancy found the air invigorating. She swung blithely along, pausing occasionally to skip a tiny stone out into the water, or to watch a school of minnows in the shallows near shore. After a time, the path led through thick bushes and tall trees. When she emerged into the clearing again, she saw, less than 300 yards ahead of her, a gigantic arc of iron and steel that stretched across the Muskoka River. It was the first time Nancy had ever seen the new railroad bridge at close range, and she gave a cry of interest. Hurrying on, she climbed over a fence which marked the boundary of the railroad right-of-way and came to the tracks. There she paused and surveyed the bridge with awe. It must have cost a mint of money, she thought. As she was considering the remarkable engineering feat which the bridge represented, a shrill locomotive whistle caused her to wheel about. The block signal was down, and she knew a train was approaching from the west. She moved hastily to a safe distance from the tracks. With a fascination which was tinged with horror, she watched a long, heavy, eastbound flyer as it roared around the bend, and like a mighty monster, charged down upon the railroad bridge. Yeah, Cage, I was thinking that too. Like, she is so... Like, she's not dumb, she's intelligent, but, like, I wouldn't want to leave the house, because how do you know that Nathan isn't, like, spying from somewhere, and then the house is empty and he can just break in and go through everything? Like... Okay, but is a roadster not kind of a towny car? Like, it doesn't seem like a very practical choice for farm girls. But I don't really know. Just because Nancy also has it, and they make it sound like it's like a really fashionable car for her to have. What if Nathan Gombe dared to carry out his threat? She asked herself with a shudder. Even after the flyer had clattered safely across the bridge and had vanished in a cloud of smoke, Nancy could not shake off the uneasy feeling which had taken possession of her. Now that she viewed the bridge, she had a graphic picture in her mind of the damage Gombe could accomplish if he were so inclined. As she turned away and walked slowly on toward her home, she lost herself in sober reflection. Nathan Gombe is a dangerous man, that's certain, she told herself. If only there was some way to put him behind prison bars before he harms anyone. End of chapter. I don't know, Nancy. You could have called the police like you threatened to. That might be one way. Breaking Brad, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. I feel like my chair doesn't go up as high as it used to, but I don't know if I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm just getting shorter. I've got the shrinks. The dreaded shrinks. Okay, we are gonna read more. I'm just stretching. Oof. Okay. Like, she's just already just making a series of bad decisions, you know? And it's just a little infuriating. Okay. All right. Sorry, let me double check on something. There we go. Okay. Chapter 4. A second call. It was nearly 6 o'clock when Nancy Drew reached home after her long tramp. She ate dinner and then waited impatiently for the arrival of her father on the evening train. So it was only like an hour walk. That's not that long. Not too bad. Because didn't she say it was around like 4 just before Allie came over? And then they sat together and had a visit, and then they drove out to Allie's place. Anyway. Okay. She ate dinner and then waited impatiently for the arrival of her father on the evening train. At last, she heard his step on the veranda and ran to meet him. "Well, Nancy, how'd you make out while I was gone?" Carson Drew asked as he dropped his briefcase on the table. "Everything go all right?" "Oh, Dad, the meanest old man came to see you." Quickly, Nancy poured out the story of her encounter with Nathan Gombe. Her father listened gravely until she had finished. "So he came here to bother you, did he? I'm sorry you've worried so much about it. Next time, don't let him in." "But, Dad, there's nothing to what he says, is there? You don't owe him any money?" "Not a cent, Nancy." "That's what I thought. But why did he make such a fuss?" "Because he's a natural troublemaker, I guess. You see, some time ago, Gombe's land was condemned for the railroad right away. I was on the land commission, and I saw to it that Gombe was well paid. He seemed satisfied with the deal which was made. But after the bridge went up, he began to pester the commission for more money. Claimed that the bridge had damaged the rest of his property, and I don't know it all. I didn't pay much attention to his claims because, well, they were ridiculous. He's only a sorehead." "He's been making some ugly threats, Dad. It's said he talks about blowing up the bridge." "A man in his right mind wouldn't go around telling things like that," Mr. Drew said, with a troubled frown. "I think I'd better keep an eye on him." "Well, you'll be careful, won't you, Dad?" Nancy pleaded. "I'm sure he means to do you harm." "Yes, I'll be cautious," Carson Drew promised smilingly. "But I'm not afraid of Nathan Gombe. I know how to handle him. What worries me is the way he came here bothering you. If he should ever try to harm you—" "I'll probably never see him again," Nancy said lightly. "At least, I hope I never shall." As she spoke, her eyes turned toward the window, and what she saw caused them to dilate in horror. "Oh," she gasped, "there was someone at the window just then. I saw the face distinctly. It was Nathan Gombe." "You must be mistaken," Carson Drew protested, as he too glanced toward the window. "No, I'm sure of it, Dad. There's someone on the porch now." Even at that moment, there came a sharp rap on the door. "Don't go," Nancy whispered. "I know it's Nathan Gombe, and I believe he means to harm you. He may have a gun." "I may as well see him now and get it over with, Nancy. I'll not have him snooping around here." "Like, can one of you call the police? Like..." Window liquor. Can you turn? Alright. Resolutely, Carson Drew walked to the front door and flung it open. The light from the living room revealed Nathan Gombe. "Well," Carson Drew demanded, "what do you want here?" "You know what I want." "What you want and what you may get are two entirely different matters. Come in. I have something to say to you." Mr. Drew permitted the man to enter, but did not offer him a chair. He looked Nathan Gombe straight in the face, but the man could not return the straightforward gaze. Involuntarily, he lowered his eyes. "Tell me what you mean by coming here and bothering my daughter?" Mr. Drew asked curtly. "Well, I came after my just due." "Let me tell you something. If you bother Nancy again, I'll turn you over to the police. Get that straight." "I want my rights." "Your rights? What do you mean by rights? You've had more now than you deserve." "You cheated me. My land was worth several times what I was paid for it. Either I want the deed back, or I want my price." So you were trying to get the deed when you rummaged in my desk this afternoon, Mr. Drew demanded severely. Well, Nathan Gombe, it won't do you a particle of good if you do get your hands on it. What do you mean? It has been recorded. Then I want my price. You're crazy, man, Carson Drew snapped with growing impatience. The commission gave you your price once, and an exorbitant one it was too. If the railroad hadn't wanted your land, you couldn't have sold it for a dime. The railroad had to have my land. I could have had anything I wanted to ask. You're mistaken, Mr. Gombe. Charging all the traffic will bear doesn't go anymore. Anyway, the bridge could have gone across the river at a point south of your land without costing the railroad a cent more money. You were lucky that they bought your property at any price. And the bridge damaged the rest of my land. Damaged it? Carson Drew smiled. In what way? Well, Nathan Gombe began to stammer. Then he thought of something. The trains scare my horses. How many horses have you? Why, one? Oh, you have 1 horses? Mr. Drew smiled broadly, and Nancy could not hold back a giggle. Oh, don't you dare ridicule me, Gombe snorted. I'm not ridiculing you. Why am I having trouble saying that? Hold on. Let me do it again. I am not ridiculing you, Mr. Gombe. I'm merely trying to bring you to reason. If I recall correctly, your horse is an old nag that couldn't even bat an eye at a train. At all events, your fight is with the railroad, not with me. You drew up the papers. I was merely acting as an agent. I don't care what you say. I know you and your scheming friends are trying to swindle me out of my property. I don't know how you came by such a silly idea. The Land Commission is very fair in all their dealings. What you ask is most unreasonable. As far as I'm concerned, the matter is closed. Not much it ain't. I was swindled out of $10,000. Carson Drew laughed shortly. It is useless for us to talk further, I see. I'm convinced you're trying to work a graft, but you've come to the wrong place this time. If you don't give me money, none of your threats, Mr. Drew cut him off sharply. Now, get out of here. Give me my money. Not a cent. As final? Absolutely. Nathan Gombe faced Carson Drew with clenched fists, and his features were distorted by rage. Nancy, who stood a short distance away, was fearful lest he attack her father. But Mr. Drew showed no signs of flinching, and Gombe was not overburdened with courage. He preferred to obtain his ends by underhand methods. He turned abruptly toward the door, but before he reached it, he wheeled upon Carson Drew again. Nancy thought that it looked like a wild animal making its last stand. Take warning, Carson Drew, he muttered. If I don't get my money, I'll do something desperate. With that, he slammed the door and vanished into the night. Historically, land commissions working for railroads were scrupulously fair. Yeah, I don't know. Like, we're obviously supposed to be on Carson's side and that this guy is a maniac, but like, yeah, land commissions cheated a lot of people, and so do lawyers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so weird that this is written that we're supposed to be siding with the land commission and the lawyer as being, like, the most ethical people. Hi, Wigwam. Justice for Gombe. And his 1 horses. Dad, what did he mean by that? Nancy cried as soon as the door had closed behind the man. I'm afraid he'll do something terrible. Perhaps blow up the railroad bridge. I don't believe he'd dare attempt that, Nancy. Nathan Gombe isn't a very courageous man. Then he'll try something underhanded. I know he will. Well, you may be right about that, Nancy. He's obsessed with an idea, and there's no talking him out of it. HGTVR, hi, over on YouTube. You're loving this? A little scary. Yeah. Pro-capitalism propaganda. Wait, dicks over or Gombe? Don't say that. Cards and Drew shot first. Oh my god. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. He's obsessed with an idea. There's no talking him out of it. An idea? I'd call it a mania. And now here's Nancy just making fun of mental illness. Well, perhaps that's a better word to describe his state of mind. I'm afraid he'd try to harm you, Dad. I'm not afraid of him, Nancy. I know you're not, but he's a tricky sort of enemy to have. Promise me you'll be careful, won't you? I'll promise, Nancy. Now, don't worry about it anymore. Nothing will come of this threat, I'm sure. Mr. Drew picked up the evening paper and began to read as unconcernedly as though nothing had happened. Nancy found it impossible to follow her father's example. She was dreadfully worried, for she was afraid her father did not consider Nathan Gombe seriously. Oh, how she did hope he would be cautious. End of chapter. This was written in 1930. Carson suddenly sounds about as sympathetic as Dorothy Gale. I mean, he's definitely written as if he's supposed to be, like, the good guy. And that we are supposed to fully believe and align with Nancy's assertion that he is morally upstanding all the time. And Nancy drew bingo? Wait, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. He's just crazy enough to stampede his 1 horses into the land commission. Oh, that's why they're siding with the railroads and lawyers. Yeah. Yeah, I like some anime. I don't watch a lot of anime, but I do watch some, and I have enjoyed it. I'm definitely not opposed to watching and enjoying anime. Oof. Okay, you guys, I am down to read a little bit more, but I need a little stretch break. My ribs are cramping up, and I need to properly stretch, or I'm just in a lot of pain right now. Let me fix this. Let me do a proper stretch, and I will be back in just a couple minutes, okay? Hi. Hey dudes. Sorry about that. For anyone new here, I've got a pretty messed up back, and sometimes I get cramps between my ribs. And it's just awful, and it takes a while to stretch. I've taken off my corset because the corset helps prevent back pain, but once my ribs start cramping, which is not caused by the corset, by the way, because it happens regardless of whether I'm wearing it, but at that point I need to take it off for a bit because to be able to like stretch out the cramp, I need to be able to be a bit more flexible. But that also means that it's less likely we'll be able to do like a long stream because sitting up is more painful without it. So that's where we're at. But we are definitely, I can read another chapter. Like, we're okay, but it might not, you know, I mean, it's always a TBD situation in terms of how long we're gonna go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, for sure, Sandri. I usually, almost always, like with only like a couple of exceptions, I can pretty much guarantee being able to do a 3-hour stream. And I know on YouTube we've only been live for not even an hour and a half, but on Twitch we are at 3.5 hours. So some nights I'm able to do like 6 or 7 hours. It just depends on how my back is feeling. So yeah, and that is why, so like we always start, how long by chance? What do you mean? How long what? We always start by just like hanging out over on Twitch for like an hour, hour and a half, and then we read, and that's why the kind of extended ASMR afterwards is kind of a, yeah, TBD situation. All right. But let's read another chapter though. I would like to, if you guys are up for that. Since Val's spine is a croissant, what food are her ribs? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, ribs? Like, that is a food. We don't really eat spines. Like, we don't, not even eating the spine, but like, we don't eat the meat off of spines. Do you know what I mean? We chew the meat off other bones, but we don't chew the meat off of spines. I've never thought about that before, but oh, mysterious value woman, thank you. That's kind of you. Yeah, it's a chronic pain situation, and some days it's better and some days it's worse. My community is so understanding and supportive, but I just try to be, I don't say it to get like pity about it, but just to be like full transparency about why sometimes it's longer and sometimes it's shorter, and why I can't do like a 24-hour streams or things like that. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that have chronic pain conditions, and I see ya. It sucks. We eat oxtail, which is an extension of spine. Okay, all right, fair. Also, goosenecks, which is an extension of spine, right? Yeah. Okay, but not the middle of the spine. Oh. Gooseneck. All right. Okay. I would like to read one more chapter, though. I'm glad the pigs were so obliging. If they had been like hiding and sleeping during that break, I would have felt much worse about taking that stretch break. But they were adorable, front and center, being the little child actors that they are. Good. Cloud is back at her food dish. Is that good? Is it good? I'm glad you like it. Oh, the break. Sorry. Yeah, the break. My breaks are usually not more than 5 minutes, but yeah, I was just having a stretch. You woke up to get some water. Oh, Nick. Well, I hope you get back to sleep quickly. Okay. Chapter 5. Strange Happenings. With the passing days, nothing more was heard of Nathan Gombe, and Nancy Drew began to grow easier in her mind. After all, his threat had been nothing more than bluff, she assured herself. Probably she would never see him again. But as she became less vigilant, she could not know that Nathan Gombe was plotting revenge. Happy in her false security, Nancy forgot about the man and turned her thoughts into more pleasant channels. "I believe I'll call on Abigail Rowan this afternoon," she told her father one day at the luncheon table. "I haven't seen her for months, and I'm curious to know how she's getting along." That's the old woman from the last book. That was bleak. She was like dying alone in her house without anyone coming to check up on her. But now she's inherited a bunch of money, so hopefully she's doing better. You'll be back before dark? Oh, yes. I'll be gone only a few hours. Hi, Harmony Angel. You think Abigail Rowan, the old lady, is sexy? I mean, to each their own, you know? As soon as luncheon was over, Nancy backed her blue roadster from the double garage and set off for Abigail Rowan's cottage, which was several miles from River Heights. Approaching the house, she was pleased to observe that there had been many changes in the last few months. The former description of the place, the worst-looking house on the road, no longer applied. The cottage had received a fresh coat of white paint, and the shutters were a gay green. Not like that boring heterosexual green. No, that's so passé. The old picket fence had been torn entirely away, as had the old plank walk which led to the house. In its place, there was a new one of concrete. The yard was well kept, and at the rear of the cottage Nancy saw a man working in a vegetable garden. "I hope you'll find Abigail well," she thought as she parked her roadster and walked toward the house. She rapped firmly upon the door. As she waited for someone to answer the knock, she could not help but recall the first time she had called upon Abigail Rowan. The old woman had been confined to her bed with injuries received from a bad fall, and Nancy had found her in a deplorable condition. She wasn't. She was on her couch, having injured herself. And, like, the book didn't say this, but it had been so long, she almost definitely had pissed and shat herself at that time. Like, it had been like a day since she had injured herself and was on the couch and could not get up. And she was like, "I just expected that no one would check on me and I would just die here." It was rough. Okay. There was little food or money with which to buy it, and Abigail had firmly refused medical attention because she could not pay for it. It was through Nancy's instigation that she had received her inheritance from the Crowley estate, and she had wisely devoted a portion of the money to medical service. Nancy's thoughts were cut short as the door was opened by an old woman in a black silk dress. It was Abigail Rowan, and she beamed when she saw her visitor. "Well, I declare if it isn't Nancy Drew," she exclaimed with evident pleasure. "Do come in and sit a spell." "How's your hip now?" Nancy inquired solicitously as she followed Miss Rowan.
"Oh, it ain't hurt me for going on 2 months now. I still limp a bit, but the doctor says I'll soon get over that."
"You're looking much better than when I saw you last."
"I'm feeling better, too. Things looked mighty black for a while, and I didn't much care whether I lived or died. I owe everything to you."
"Oh, not at all. Nancy said quickly. Wait, I'm sorry. Skjor the Huskari? Or the Huskarl? Oh, okay, sorry. I read, and I was like, is that a mishmash of 3 different chatters' names? Because I was like, there's Husky and there's Spiritari, but that's an L. Wait, but Skjor, is this is the same Skjor, though? Same guy. Okay, cool. Okay. Hi, Skjor. You missed something in the story? In this one or in the last one? Okay. Nice. Wait, is that like House Carl? House Carl? Like House Carl? Yeah? Okay, right on. Nice. Well, good to see you, Skjor. Oh, Mysterious Value Woman, thank you. Thank you. Yes, they are very cute guinea pigs. Protector of the Jarl. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay. As she entered the living room, she saw that Abigail had another visitor.
Rosemary, we were just speaking about Nancy Drew,
Miss Rowan said by way of introduction.
Well, here she is. One of the finest girls you ever set up.
Why am I making her like Irish? Okay, sorry. That was unintentional.
One of the finest girls you ever set eyes on.
Can I not just do an old lady voice in a normal, basic American accent?
One of the finest girls you ever set eyes on.
Apparently I can't. The old woman turned to Nancy. She's just Irish now.
I want you to meet my friend, Rosemary Turnbull. She came over from Cliftwood to see me today.
Graciously, Nancy acknowledged the introduction. Rosemary Turnbull was an elderly maiden lady, tall and a trifle too thin, but not at all severe-looking in spite of her clothing. She wore an old-fashioned dress, long and wide of skirt and high in the neck, but she had a kind face, and Nancy was instantly attracted to her. Beisha! Oh my god! Welcome in. What do you mean the old lady's no longer maidenless? Just 2 old ladies that never got married. It's fine. Hi, Red Jedi. No, they're both Miss. Neither of them are married. They said you had a good voice. She was not wrong. Well, welcome in, besting Red Face. Welcome in. Hi, everyone. Living Memory, thank you for the follow. Aw, babe. Okay, you guys, everyone go drop a follow. Check out Beja Nash and her awesome content. She is smart and funny, and it's just a super chill place to hang out, talk about all sorts of things. She plays games, listen to music, just hanging out. It's a good time. She's awesome. Go drop a follow. He is rarely wrong. Right on. We are, well, I'm Faolkor. We do a mixture of traditional ASMR, and part of that is kind of cozy story time. We read books here, but that's why it is a little lower volume, is because some people like to listen and follow along, and other people like to sleep to it. So, McPetrovic, thank you for the follow. We just started a new book tonight, The Hidden Staircase, which is a Nancy Drew mystery. You're sleepy and hangry at the moment. Oh man, go eat, girl. Has anyone told you about Scriptorium? Brand new game where you're commissioned to create medieval art and scrolls. Okay, well, I'll be checking that out. Thank you for the tip. I will check that out. You're eating now? Heck yeah. Don't eat on... Yeah, I sometimes do. But I also, because I do ASMR, the gain is always like cranked and you can hear every mouth sound. Like I can't eat quietly unless I fully mute my mic. You heard two old ladies from the other room? Two ladies. They're not. Oh my god, those puppets. There's no heterosexual explanation for those Muppets. Stadler and Waldorf. There's a free demo? Oh, fuck yeah. Okay, cool. I will check that out. Thank you. I can hear you eyelashes flutter. God. You can hear everything. Every little gurgle in my throat. Anyways, we are reading a Nancy Drew mystery. Basically, Nancy is this incredibly smart, pretty, rich, talented, clever, privileged girl that likes solving mysteries. She's but she's not very wise always. She is visiting an old lady right now who she helped out in the previous book. What am I drinking? This is a mixture of a flavored water with energy drink in it, and I am drinking it from a peanut butter jar. Yes, I am. Yes. Don't put that frog at me. I'm good. Anyways, if you would like to listen to some story time, please settle in, get cozy. There's no vodka in it, damn Dan. No. Lies, slander, libel, not true. Beja, yes, please feel free to skedaddle, go rest, go eat. Thank you so much for the wonderful raid. Dugamite, thank you for the follow. Your older sister used to be obsessed with Nancy Drew. Okay, we haven't met Bess yet. This is book number 2. So basically this year, 2026, 3 Nancy Drew books came into the public domain. Secret of the Old Clock, which we've already read, and this is The Hidden Staircase, and there's one more. The name's escaping me. And I read them as a kid too, and I hadn't read them since then. Are Bess and George coming? I hope so. I remember really liking George. I liked both of them, I think, but anyways. Just in time, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. And Goodfellow, hi, hello. Yeah, I guess we'll see. But in this one, she is visiting Abigail Rowan, an old lady who has another old lady friend there. She's visiting with them. But there is a freaky man that is giving off kind of crazy predator vibes. And Nancy is not showing situational awareness about it. So we'll see how that goes. They all go get ice cream and Bess gets a double scoop. Hell yeah, Bess. Get it, girl. Yeah, Bess is like the kind of the cute chubby blonde, right? But like in a hot way. Like in a attractive way. She's like the kind of dumb, not dumb, ditzy, a little bit ditzy. I might just be conflating her with Melody from Josie and the Pussycats, to be fair. And then George is like kind of the tomboy, Georgina. Anyway, we'll see. We have not met them yet. I just remember them from the books I read when I was a kid. Okay. Okay.
Nancy is just the girl to help you out of your difficulties, Rosemary,
Abigail said significantly.
She helped me get my inheritance, and I know she'll help you if you ask her.
Oh, certainly. I'll help anyone I can, Nancy agreed pleasantly. What is it? Okay, oh no, I'm gonna have to do 2 distinct old lady voices.
Well, I hardly know how to tell you,
Rosemary Turnbull began. She laughed unsteadily.
It seems I'm living in a haunted house.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go, Rosemary. Let's do it.
A haunted house? Nancy cried. Well, of course it isn't really haunted. I don't believe in ghosts and things like that. She lowered her voice. But the strangest things have been happening lately.
What sort of things? Nancy asked with interest.
Mostly little things. but after a while they get on your nerves. You see, I live in an old stone house in Cliffwood. Alone? Nancy interrupted. Oh, no. My twin sister Floretta lives with me. Oh, haunted stone old Midwest house with 2 twin maiden elderly ladies this is just perfect, like, cozy horror vibes, you know? My twin sister Floretta lives with me. Our house, which is generally known as the mansion, was built before Civil War time, so you can imagine how old it is. She laughed nervously. A wonderful setting for a ghost story, isn't it? Go on, Nancy begged. Witch of the night, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Floretta and I have lived there for 30 years, and we've never been disturbed until recently. Just the last few weeks, things have happened which we can't explain. We hear strange noises at night. In the attic? Not exactly. We hear sounds in all parts of the house. You're sure it isn't mice? Oh, mercy. It couldn't be mice or rats. Rosemary was horrified at the thought. Floretta and I are very particular about anything like that. There isn't a mouse in our house. Girl, let's be for real. There are mice in your house. Semi-Fwiku, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Tell her about the flies, Abigail prompted. Oh, our house is just filled with them now, Rosemary declared. And until lately, we never had them at all. I can't understand it. Well, so far your trouble doesn't sound very alarming. And Nancy smiled. Probably there's a screen off someplace. I see how it is now. This is a trap where you hypnotize me with your voice. With the old lady voices? Dude, that's what I thought, and on God, I'm like, oh no. Okay, here's my theory. Nathan Gombe is squatting illegally in their house. And he's so stinky, he's brought the flies with him. He's just a mess. Okay. Rosemary shook her head firmly. We thought the same, so we made a thorough inspection. And we're very particular to keep the doors and windows closed. Tell her about the shadows, Abigail encouraged. We see strange shadows on the walls, Rosemary went on. A note of fear had crept into her voice now. What sort of shadows? Floretta thought she saw a human shadow one night. She's beginning to think the place is haunted. Well, I don't put any stock in that theory, but I'll admit, things are beginning to get on my nerves. Well, that would be enough to get on anyone's nerves. Nancy was sympathetic. And music. One night, only last week, I distinctly heard someone playing on a stringed instrument. It was enough to set my teeth on edge. Floretta says she'll be a nervous wreck if she stays in the house another week. She didn't want me to leave her alone even for a few hours this afternoon. She wants me to consent to sell the house. And you don't wish to do that? No. The mansion has been in the Turnbull family for decades. You can't blame me for not wanting to turn it over to a stranger. I don't take much stock in ghosts and the like. I can't believe the house is haunted. Tell her about the spoon, Abigail prompted. Abigail is just being like the best hype woman in this story. I love it. Oh, there isn't anything particular to tell. One morning we found a silver spoon missing. Are you sure it couldn't have been misplaced? Nancy inquired. Floretta and I searched everywhere. We didn't think so much about it until we missed the pocketbook. You lost a pocketbook too? Yes. Only yesterday morning we discovered a purse was missing. Well, this begins to look serious. Was there anything of value in it? Nothing except a little money, $8.14, as I remember. You keep no servants? Floretta and I have done our own work for years. We have a man to take care of the yard. How long has he been in your employ? For 8 or 10 years. He's perfectly honest. We know he wouldn't touch a thing. Have you noticed any prowlers about the house? Nancy questioned next. No, I've seen no one except an old organ grinder, and you couldn't class him as a prowler. Still, his monkey might have climbed in the window and taken the articles, Nancy suggested. I love that they're talking about this like this is like a normal thing. I only noticed the organ grinder around 2 days, and it wasn't on those days that we missed things. Anyway, all of the windows are screened. Then that theory won't work, Nancy said with a troubled frown. And it doesn't explain the strange shadows on the walls at night, Rosemary added. No, I'm afraid we must look for another explanation. Well, I'm more troubled about the shadows than anything else. It's getting to a point where I don't feel safe to sleep in my own bed. I don't know where it will all end. Floretta says she won't stay in the house another week if things go on as they have been. And I can't say that I blame her. If only something could be done before it's too late. Nancy will help you, Abigail Rowan declared confidently. Abigail is so into this. You will, won't you? Rosemary pleaded. I don't know whether I can or not, Nancy said doubtfully. I'm tremendously interested in your story, and I'd like to visit the mansion sometime. Oh, when can you come? Rosemary asked eagerly. The sooner the better. Nancy Drew glanced thoughtfully at the watch on her wrist. I have my roadster outside. If you wish, I could drive you to your home now and stop there before returning to River Heights. Oh, if you only will. Floretta will be so grateful. I don't like to give up the house, but things are becoming unbearable. I'm sure you can help us. I'll do my best to solve the mystery. Nancy smiled as she arose from her chair. But I'm not in the least confident. I have a suspicion that your ghost isn't going to be very easy to capture. End of chapter. It's definitely a squatter. whether it's Nathan Gombe or not. Gumby. Whether it's Gumby or not remains to be seen, but it's definitely a squatter. One who is either so stupid or cocksure that he's like, I'm just gonna play my little ukulele while I'm squatting in this house. That's crazy. And Nancy would just go ask questions to strangers and people would just answer them. Yeah, I don't know. She's charismatic, I guess. Every so often you read news stories about someone discovered squatting in places. Oh yeah. It definitely happens. Usually it's in an abandoned house or an empty house at least. But there are wait, there's a term for it, isn't it? Isn't there for like a squatter that say like lives in your attic and comes out at night? There's a specific term for that? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? But yeah,
Not a vampire, no. But there are stories like that where like people never see this person, but just like things move around, or there's like random crumbs, or you know. So a frogger. That might be it, Shale. It's an unusual term. I've only read it on the internet. I've never actually heard anyone say it in a sentence, but biggest anticlimax, it's a musically talented raccoon. How would that be anticlimactic? A musically talented raccoon? That would be awesome. Then the old lady sisters suddenly have like a new source of income. People will come to visit them to see the musically talented raccoon. Money will just be rolling in. I would tell her I'm a sovereign citizen and this is my own private domicile mansion, and she can come back with a warrant. People do pull that sometimes. It's crazy. Frogging, yeah, with a PH. Yeah, I don't know why it's called that. I don't know. But, and I've never, to be clear, I've never heard anyone say it in real life. I've just read it online. That happened recently in the UK with someone living in the attic of a flat and only coming out at night. Really? Oh man. I don't know, like, I would be so paranoid if that ever happened to me. Even if I moved into like a brand new place that did not have like creepy peepholes or anything, I would be putting up cameras ever. Like, how do you ever feel safe in your own home again? Welcome back, Sendry. Alright, well, I think this is where we are going to end the reading portion. The stream probably won't go on for too much longer, but it will go on a little bit longer on Twitch. But we are going to wrap up on YouTube. So, YouTube viewers, thank you to everyone who watched on YouTube, whether you were just opening up a lurk and you're also watching on Twitch, or whether you came in organically on YouTube, whether you're watching live or the VOD after the fact. Thank you. It helps so much. It helps so much trying to meet these goals to unlock the YouTube partner program. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Next stream will be on Tuesday. And if you're interested in following on Twitch, I do a Tuesday afternoon stream that's actually co-working. And then Tuesday night, a separate stream. And the plan, unless it changes for some reason, is to read more Nancy Drew. So I will be going live on this YouTube channel on Tuesday night. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, make sure you're subbed to the channel, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye, YouTube. Bye, YouTube.